Hello, girlies. All right, so welcome to 5 mistakes that are keeping you soft instead of sculpted. Okay, this is actually for the YouTube, but obviously, I'll be using this for other resources and stuff like that for my clients. But I wanted to make this video because I just wanted to go over the 5 top mistakes that I commonly see. And obviously, because I'm a coach myself, I see women making these mistakes all the time, and I've made these in the past, and I'll even show you what I used to look like before when I was soft. So let's go through the 5 mistakes. I'll try and keep this nice, short, sharp, and shiny, so we're not going to be sitting here for too long. So let's go into my own journey first, because you're probably like, Cassie, why the fuck should I listen to you? Well, here's my fucking receipts, okay? That is what I used to look like right here on the left, obviously. Yeah, I was skinny fat, basically. I was so soft. I have other photos of like other bits of my journey where I was like a little bit more on the leaner side. I probably wasn't carrying as much body fat before I got like heaps into lifting. But in all honesty, that was like I was so soft there. However, the thing was I was training a lot. I was actually training way more on the left than I am on the right. Okay. And I was so consistent, I was so disciplined. However, like my food was pretty fucked. Like I was in that binge restrict cycle. I was always trying to diet. I was overtraining every time I'd binge. I had no structure, like no training program, all that sort of stuff. So all these points that I'm going to go over in the next few slides, okay, these 5 mistakes, they were all the 5 mistakes that I was making on the left hand side. Okay. And then because I fixed the 5 mistakes and I got my shit together, that is what I now look like on the right side. Well, I'm like mid build right now, so I'm not that lean anymore, but I do have that muscle mass under there. So it is so possible to take your body from soft to sculpted and actually have your hard work reflect on your body like you fucking deserve. So let's go through mistake number one. So mistake number one, you're always in a deficit. This was the biggest fucking one for me, and this is the most common one I see with most women. My clients who have started eating more food, their bodies have sculpted right up, okay? And the thing with this is like, a calorie deficit does work. However, if you're always in a deficit, it's telling me that you're not actually being consistent with it, especially if you're in it all year round, you're always restarting, okay? If you were consistent with it, you would have lost the fat by now, but you're blowing out on the weekends because you've restricted your calories too low, or you're just not locking in hard enough because you haven't actually like got a deadline for it. You're not taking it as seriously because you haven't invested in a coach either. So that is another route that can also be sabotaging your progress with your deficit, right? So if you're always starting again, you're just starting back at zero, okay? And basically the problem with this is like you're staying in that like limbo state of like when you're in that calorie deficit, say from Monday to Friday, like it could be any days, but you're not actually fueling your body enough to grow like any muscle mass because you're in a deficit, right? Your body doesn't have the extra fuel to grow that muscle mass. So you're technically in that deficit, right? And then when you like sabotage yourself by binging or overeating on the weekend, you're bringing yourself back up to maintenance, and you're going to feel inflamed, puffy, because you're holding on to all this water weight, and that is going to make you look super soft as well. So therefore, then you're eating too much to even lose fat in the first place. So you're staying exactly the same. You're staying in this nowhere man's land. Okay, you're not really working towards a goal. You're not losing fat, but you're not gaining muscle either. Okay, you're just staying fucking stuck, and that is so shit, and it's so frustrating because you're going to the gym fucking consistently. Okay, you're training like so much, and it's just not reflecting on your body, right? Because you're always in that calorie fucking deficit. When I got out of the calorie deficit and I learned how to eat more food and just gave up the goal of fat loss for like a little bit and decided I'd focus on it later, but when I got my foundational habits down first and learned how to eat more food properly and with strategy, that is when shit started to change, because you're going to be way less inflamed, way less puffy. You're going to actually fuel your body for your sessions. You're going to have more energy for your sessions. Therefore, you will also burn more energy in your sessions as well and actually grow muscle mass. So that is the biggest one. That is number one, because that is what changed the game for me, is getting the fuck out of the deficit, okay? So if you're always in a deficit, that is mistake number one. Mistake number two, you're too flexible with food, okay? I used to be so flexible with food, and there's this whole thing about flexible dieting. Yes, we love it. We love it. We're tracking your macros. It allows you to have more freedom and flexibility because, you know, clean eating alone, like all the time, and you know, not going to these social events and going for dinner, like that can be really, really unrealistic. But if you are too flexible with your food, you're going to feel more hungrier, more bloated, hold on to more water retention and making yourself look puffy and inflamed. But also, if you're hungry and you're trying to be in that calorie deficit, but you're loading up on like protein bars, all these like sugar-free options, they're actually going to make you like a lot hungrier because you're not actually nourishing your body. Therefore, if you're hungry and your calorie deficit to the point where you're like, I can't take this anymore, you're going to sabotage your own deficit, right? That's also going to stop you from losing fat if you are trying to like lose fat in the first place in that calorie deficit. So that will also keep you like stuck, looking the fucking same, right? So and if you're always snacking and stuff like that and not actually focusing on whole foods, like nourishing meals, again, that's going to lead you down the same path. So if you actually focus on more nourishing foods, you're going to feel like you want less sweets, okay? You're going to be fuller for longer, and you're going to hold on to less water weight because you're eating clean. Your body's going to utilize that food to fuel your sessions. And because you're fueled properly for your sessions, right, you're going to build better quality muscle mass as well. So, yeah. So that's mistake number 2, okay? And I really honestly believe, and this is what I tell my clients, 90% whole foods. Honestly, like save that 10% for when you're going out to eat, like special occasion, or you're getting like takeaway like once a week or something like that. Like really, you should be thinking about how good you want to feel on the inside as well. It shouldn't always be about like, how can I fucking fit this into my macros, okay? So mistake number 3, you have no real program, okay? You got no training program. This will really fuck you up for the longest time, okay? I've had clients actually recently. I had one client who just started with me. She's literally pushed harder in the last week than she has in the whole year since actually starting with me and having the program, right? So there's proof right there. Well, I wish I had the screenshot, but anyway. But honestly, it was a game changer for me because if you're not following a program, you don't know if you're progressing, okay? And that, like, this will lead me into my next 2 points. But if you're not having a program, there's like no structure. You're walking in just winging it. You're changing your movements every single week. Like, you're not going to be able to challenge your muscles enough to grow when you're always swapping and changing, okay? And also with your movements, it takes a couple weeks to like doing the same movement over and over and over again for your mind to like adjust to the movement pattern, okay? And it's really hard to load it up nice and heavy when you're very new to it. So if you're always swapping like your movements around, from a mindset perspective, like you haven't got the coordination and the balance yet to even perfect that movement to then like up weights and stuff like that. And that obviously will lead into progressive overload. But you need to have a program so you can actually measure your progress and actually track your weights, your reps, to actually see if you are getting stronger over time. Because as your muscles grow, you should be getting stronger. So that is mistake number 3, which will lead me into mistake number 4. You're not pushing to progress, okay? This is basically progressive overload. If you're not progressive overloading, okay, what that actually means is like you're somehow challenging your muscles week by week by adding weight or reps, okay? There's other methods like adding sets, decreasing set times, rest times, but in reality, like you actually just want to like focus on increasing reps and weights because that's the easiest and that's the telltale sign of whether you actually are progressing. So if you're hitting the same weights every week for the same reps, you're just going to be maintaining that amount of muscle mass that you have already. Okay, you need to be fucking pushing yourself, and honestly, you will actually love your sessions a lot more too when you actually learn how to, strive for more, because you'll go in there and be like, yes, fuck yeah, like I hit this PB, you actually look forward to going because you're so keen to beat your numbers. Not that everything's all about numbers, right? Because sometimes we can feel a bit tired and lethargic, and it's not always about the numbers, right? Sometimes it's about showing up, but progressive overload is super important, okay? Once I started implementing this, the muscle mass started to fucking grow, okay? So important. If you're not tracking, you're not going to be building. If you're just maintaining the weights and reps that you're on, you're going to maintain the body that you have already, okay? This leads me into mistake number 5. Again, this is about training, but you're not training close enough to failure. I know it says you're not training to failure here, but I mean close enough to failure. You can train to failure, but I wouldn't do it all the time. But you want to be training very, very close to failure, okay? So everyone has like this comfort zone, and your brain, like if you're not used to pushing yourself hard enough, your brain's going to perceive something as like really, really uncomfortable, and you're going to have this threshold of pain that you haven't actually pushed past. So I see this with my clients all the time when they send me videos. I actually watch their sets and I watch all the way to the end, and I can tell straight away if they're actually pushing close to failure, right? And I can tell by the speed of the reps, okay? So speed of your reps is the biggest one. If your reps aren't really fucking slow right near the end and they don't have a sticking point and you're not really making any ugly faces, you're not pushing close to muscular failure, okay? Obviously, there's other types of failure where your technique can start really breaking down before your muscles give up, right? But we really want to get close to muscular failure as much as possible, which is why your programming and your exercise selection really does matter, because we don't want our technique to break pretty much before we get to muscular failure. So that's a whole nother bloody video. But yeah, so that's why you need a program as well with the right movements. But yeah, so comfort zone equal no results. Okay, you got to learn how to fucking push yourself. The more you push yourself and push your limits, the more your threshold will go up. It takes a while, and it is a skill, and you'll learn that over time if you're not used to that. You want to be doing like 2 reps in reserve, or like even 1 rep in reserve, or even to failure. Okay, that is the sweet spot. So 1 to 2 RIR basically means just how many more reps you have left in the tank. Okay, until you hit absolute failure, which again is from the speed of your reps, how you perceive your set as well, but the speed of your reps is your biggest one. So start filming yourself in the gym and start actually watching how fast your reps are, and if they're fucking quick, you can up that weight or do a few more reps. But honestly, most of you just need to up your bloody weight. If you up the weight, you're gonna make it a lot harder. Your reps will definitely start slowing down. So you girlies are a lot stronger than what you think. Trust me, you're so much stronger than you think. But yeah, your last few reps should absolutely fucking humble you as well. So they are the 5 top mistakes that I had to learn. Okay, I had to fix, and they are mistakes that I help my clients with inside Sculpted Femi Club. Okay, we help fix them so they can go from soft to sculpted. And obviously you can see here the amazing results that I've had with my clients over the past, and it's all just like fixing up these mistakes, because these are so easy once you learn the ins and the outs. And that is something I work with my girls closely on, because I've been through that journey myself, and I really do believe that you should have a body that you're fucking proud of, and you should have all your hard work reflect on your body. But if you don't have the right strategy plan and you're not showing up to your training right and your nutrition in the right way, you're just going to stay in the same fucking spot that you have for the last 6 months. And it is so frustrating, because you know deep down that you have way more potential. Okay, just like I did, I knew that I had way more potential. I was sick of looking at all these other women have these results and they were like not working as hard as me, right? And I knew that I could just fucking like show off more of my potential in my body, but it just wasn't showing, okay? And I was making all those 5 mistakes. So if you are keen to join Sculpted Family Club, I would love to have you. You can go into the link in the description and apply for Sculpted Family Club, or you can book a free sculpting strategy call with me.